Merry Bowl season, everyone. I'm Brett Gibbons with thelines.com, and today we're breaking down the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl between Houston and Louisiana. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the Lines YouTube channel, as we're here breaking down all 41 bowl games and the national championship game this postseason. But the Independence Bowl, Houston, a 7-point favorite over Louisiana. Game kicks off Friday, December 23rd at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Has an over-under of 57 points. It's played at the Independence Bowl Stadium, Independence Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana, where it is going to be cold. We're looking at highs in maybe the 20s, high teens. For two teams that are coming from the south, the southeast, this is very chilly for them. So there's about equal weight, I suppose, on both teams here. And when you look at Louisiana and you see that they're playing in Shreveport, that is an in-state bowl for them. However, Houston only has to travel 1 extra hour to get there from Louisiana. It's a 3-hour drive from Lafayette and a 4-hour drive from Houston. So keep that in mind. I wouldn't take travel too much into this. I've seen a lot of in-state motivation, maybe, but Shreveport is very different from Lafayette for those that have been there. But if we're looking at the Ragin' Cajuns, they're going to be without starting quarterback Ben Woolridge. Chandler Fields, who started the season as the starter, also finished out the season as starter, starting the last 2 games after Woolridge went down with an injury. He's a more conservative player, kind of average numbers. 6.1 yards per attempt isn't great. He does have 10 touchdown passes, only 4 interceptions. Not really the biggest guy. He stands 5'10". For those of us that are under 6 feet, I'm sorry about that. But in terms of D1 quarterbacks, 5'10" isn't the biggest guy out there. And Louisiana was just really terrible at throwing the football in the first place. So not having their starting quarterback in the lineup certainly doesn't help that. They're also going to be without their top wide receiver, Michael Jefferson, and prolific defensive end, Andre Jones, 8.5 tackles for a loss. They're off to the NFL. They're not playing in this game. But if you have this kind of pass-heavy team in Louisiana, which they are, against Houston's secondary, against Houston's defense this year, they might be able to find success no matter who they have out in the field. Louisiana's been kind of a tough team to figure out this year. They play up and down a competition. They tested South Alabama. They tested Troy. They beat Marshall on the road in a just terrific defensive outing. But they also lost to Rice, Southern Miss, and ULM. So I'm not really sure what to make of this team all that much here. Michael Desimo, first-year head coach. This is his first ever bowl game he's coaching in. Louisiana had higher expectations because of how they played lately, but Billy Napier and his staff were really kind of the testament to that. So bringing in Desimo, they kind of hit where they probably should have been. So I wouldn't really call them a huge disappointment. Who is a huge disappointment? Houston this year. I was on the table banging the drum for Houston to be a 12-win team, American Conference champion, and they fell 5 full games short of that. So that didn't happen. But you're looking at Nathaniel Tank Dell. He will play in this game. Awesome wide receiver, one of the best in the nation, All-American candidate. He declared for the NFL draft, but he will play one more game for the Cougars. And that kind of shows that it really wasn't the offense's fault. Houston's disappointment this year wasn't because of offensive ineptitude. They're 9th overall in EPA, 12th in success rate. I mean, they're really good. They scored a lot of points. Problem is, on the other side, their really strong defense from last year kind of just fell off a cliff. 91st in field position. What is that about? 119th in points per drive. I mean, their defense is a liability. We saw it when they gave up, 77 points to SMU in one single game here. But going back to their offense, excellent passing game. We know that. Clayton Tune is a great quarterback. Nathaniel Dell, one of the best wide receivers in the nation. But Louisiana has actually been pretty solid against the pass this year. Where they have not been as solid as against the run. 85th in rush EPA, 71st in yards, cumulative yards per game. But Houston's 118th in rush rate. Could they game plan around that? Could they actually maybe have a more run-heavy game plan than we've seen to try to move the ball against a worse Ragin' Cajuns run defense? Maybe. We'll see. But their trends from this year kind of point toward, no, they're still going to air the ball out with their best athletes and their best players. There's a huge disparity, though, in finishing drives. Houston, 14th in the country in points per drive. Louisiana, 80th. And that kind of lays out because they've struggled in the red zone. They're 98th in scoring rate inside the 20-yard line. That is brutal and something that we've already seen in bowl games be a factor. San Jose State lost because they couldn't score in the red zone. We saw Liberty struggle in the red zone and they lost. So red zone scoring, extremely, extremely important. Don't love where Louisiana sits on that. So all this kind of points to Houston, right? On paper, metrically, this should be Houston. The numbers say it's Houston, but we're dealing with Dana Holgorsen. He's 3-6 in bowl games, 1-1 in Houston. He did have a great win last year against a maligned Auburn team, I suppose, that we could call him. Dana Holgorsen, not great in the postseason, so that does give me a big reason for pause here. Houston's focus also just went out the door at the end of the year when they lost to Tulsa on like a third string quarterback. So don't love where this team's head is at. They're large and by far more talented than Louisiana. This should be a win for Houston. This should be a big win for Houston, but I worry about their motivation. I worry about coaching decisions. I don't think Dana Holgorsen is really all that focused on this game. Last year he might have been against the SEC, but against 7-win, 6-win Sun Belt team. Yeah, whatever. We'll see. I do really worry about the motivation here, and that's why I'm hesitant to bet Houston here. The other thing that I'm worried about is the value for Houston's gone. They opened at 3.5 points. It's all the way up to 7 now. Could continue to climb. Maybe we'll see some buyback, but the value on Houston's gone. So I think the better pick here is probably Louisiana with the points at this juncture. They're a bit better coached, maybe more motivated coming into this game, maybe a little bit more focused to kind of capitalize on Desimo's first year here. But I really do worry about the fact that we've seen 3.5 points of market movement in the favor of Houston. I think that's because the numbers are saying it's Houston, it's Houston, it's Houston. I wouldn't bet Houston because, again, Holgorsen in a bowl game, you're really kind of playing with fire there, even though they're the talented and better team here. So hop on over to our Discord channel where you can continue the conversation here. Talk about Louisiana versus Houston. We were talking about it all morning here. You can connect with over 4,000 sports betting fans over there. Get live updates in our college football server. I'm talking opt-outs, coaching changes, injuries. We're doing recruiting now is a big deal in here. We're kind of chatting about all that stuff. And if you go to the hashtag Rolls server, drop an emoji under my name, and you'll start to get notifications on your phone every time I place a bet. Because when I place a bet, I'm putting it in the Discord and I'm sending it out to everybody that signed up for those notifications here. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lines YouTube channel for daily bowl games just like this video. Comment what side you lean on the game. Do you think talent and numbers are going to win out? Is it definitely Houston? Are they running away with it? Or do you worry about the coaching and motivation aspect that kind of points towards Louisiana, maybe an in-state boost because they're playing in an in-state bowl here? Let us know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter at Road to CFB. But thanks, as always, for watching. I'm Brett Gibbons, and have a very merry bowl season.